Welcome to the first episode of Talking Paranormal. My name is Chris Albrecht, and this is
Hi, I'm Matt. I don't know what to say to that. I'm just Matt. I'm Big Block.
that's Matt Big Block, and we're good friends who discovered a mutual interest in the paranormal. So we decided, after doing an episode of one of my other podcasts about the paranormal, that we should start a live stream show about the paranormal. So the plan is to just talk about everything in the realm of the paranormal and mysterious, Bigfoot, ghosts, UFOs. We might get into some conspiracy theories, missing people, just crazy things that, kind of fly under the radar in most conversation. Um, for this first episode, I thought it would be a good idea. We both thought it would be a good idea, actually, to basically introduce ourselves because we're coming into the world of the paranormal and we're brand new to this field, and we thought it would be fun to have a show about it. So I guess I'll kick it off. Like I said, my name's Chris, and I basically got involved in the paranormal when I was in third grade. As a kid, you like movies like E.T., at least I did, cartoons, Casper the Friendly Ghost, things like that. So like the paranormal and things like that are and extraterrestrials are on your mind, but you really don't like I didn't really believe it, so to speak. I knew it was make believe essentially. And like I said, in third grade, I went to the library at school and I found a book on monsters. And in that book, there was the Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, the Abominable Snowman, and all sorts of myths and legends. And ever since then, I hit the ground running. And it's a subject that I listen to other podcasts about. I watch documentaries on TV about. I love paranormal shows. And it's just fun to talk about and to think about the possibilities because this world is so big and mysterious and we don't really know everything. We don't know the truth. I don't think anyone has all the answers, and I don't think we're gonna discover any answers on this show. But what we are gonna do is we're gonna discuss the topics and give our opinions. And I think it's gonna be a lot of fun from the point of view that Matt and I have because we're both blue collar guys, and I think this is going to be a fun, lighthearted approach to this subject matter, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I've never seen a UFO. I've never seen Bigfoot. I've never seen a ghost. I've had a couple questionable experiences. I've talked to so many people that have had experiences, and I'm a skeptical believer. Like, I really have to see something with my own eyes in order to believe that it's true. But at the same time, I believe, I'm open minded to the possibility. So I think that's why my journey into the paranormal has been so fun. Um, and why I'm so excited about this podcast because it's a subject that I don't really open up too much about uh, in front of my family and friends. Like I talk a little bit about Bigfoot and ghosts and stuff, but I never really dive deep into all the things I've ever learned or heard from stories from other people and things like that. So this is going to be a fun platform to get a chance to do that. And my story isn't nearly as cool as my friend Matt's. So I'm going to let Matt take it away and let him tell you how he got involved into the paranormal.
Hey guys. I started kind of the same way Chris did. I had books and stuff as a kid, but the difference was I wasn't looking at them from a curiosity standpoint. I was looking at them I was trying to understand what was going on in my own personal life. So I'll tell one of my ghost stories first, and then I'll tell another story that involves this episode. So as a kid, I mean, the 80s and 90s were a completely different animal. Anybody watching this knows. I was a latchkey kid. So, I mean, it was just me and my mom. So, I was in about the first grade. I was staying home alone. And my mom worked across the street. And then the neighbors were just down the street, were family friends. So, it wasn't that big of a deal. Um, they always say you'll see the stuff out of the corner of your eye. And that's true. For the entire day when I was there, I saw something crossing the hallway back and forth out of the corner of my eye when I was sitting there watching TV. It was crossing back and forth. And then finally, about 3/4 of the way through the day, it was about 3 p.m., And this is how much it traumatized me, so I remember this. It was about 3 p.m. and then I finally felt noticed. Like, you know that feeling where you're finally being looked at or something's finally watching you? I had that feeling sink in, and one of the times it went across, it stopped in the doorway and it leaned back out, and I felt like I was being looked at. I was out the door and down to the friend's house, the family friend's house, and refused to leave until my mom came home. That's just one story of many that I told Chris the other night, and those kind of got him freaked out a little bit. And apparently they were good stories. I don't know. I mean, you grow up with it. You just kind of get used to the stuff. And then the one that has to do with tonight's episode, we're starting off with Bigfoot. My family has experienced things there since they were children as well, like my mom and my aunts and my uncle. And the one that stands out to me that might have to do with this episode is where we live is still it's rural. It's developed quite a bit now, but it's still pretty rural. And when they were kids, it was nothing. Like there was nothing going on out here but farms and open space and woods. So when it was Friday night and everybody would be going out for the night to do stuff like teenagers do, everyone else would leave and my Aunt Brenda would be at home by herself until my Uncle Jerry, when they were dating, would come pick her up to go out for their date. And she said every time everybody else left and there was no cars outside, a large brownish orange figure would come out of the woods and wander around the house. And when I say large, I'm 6'2", 6'3", and the windows on this house were still probably about right here on me is the bottom sill. Like they were high windows, and it would be head and shoulders in the window. And they swore it was a spirit. They all thought it was a spirit of some sort. I'm not convinced they weren't seeing a roaming Sasquatch that was just hanging out in the area for a while. I mean, there's been hundreds of sightings in Arkansas, hundreds of sightings in Oklahoma. We're right on that border, and a lot of the sightings are on the border. So I wouldn't be surprised if we just had one kind of roam over a little bit and just see what was going on. I mean, like I said, there was nothing here. It was nothing but farmland, chicken houses, and Walmart. So
insane, dude. And for those of you that don't know, I'm actually from Washington State, and the Pacific Northwest is like a hot spot for Bigfoot, Sasquatch. And when Matt and I got into talking, I had known that Sasquatch has been seen pretty much. Actually, it has been seen in every state with the exception of Hawaii. So every state has their own version of Sasquatch or Bigfoot or, the swamp ape.
Skunk ape.
Skunk ape.
That's his more common name here.
Yeah. Grass man. They call them boogers down in the South. And there's just, when you think about how many sightings there have been, you have to start questioning, are all these people crazy? Are the hundreds of years of Native American accounts from every tribe, naming them different names, talking about a wild man, a hairy man of the woods, are all these people crazy? Are all these just coincidental, similar legends? Or is this a real creature that people are seeing? So we're going to talk a little bit about it tonight. And I find it interesting when you talk to people from different parts of the country and even different parts of the world. Sasquatch is known by many different names, and a similar creature has been seen all over the world. Australia's got them, Russia, China. It never ends. I don't know if I've ever heard of any accounts of a Bigfoot-like creature in the United Kingdom. That's like the only place I really haven't heard of.
Man, there's just not now that is one area you could literally get away with the argument of there's no room for it.
Yeah. It'd be kind of hard. I don't think they have as dense a forest as we do here in the United States.
Not really. No, there's just not a lot of room. Like you can cross like 3 different countries in the time it takes you to cross Texas.
Yeah. It's a crazy subject, And this won't be the only episode we talk about Bigfoot and Sasquatch. This show hopefully will go on for a long time and we'll discuss a variety of different topics. And we'll probably circle back to Bigfoot at some point, maybe even get a special guest on the show or special guests. Um, but another aspect of this show that we are really excited about is with social media and apps like TikTok, you got Facebook, Instagram, you see all sorts of videos, paranormal TikTok, uh, Instagram's got its fair share, and then you've got groups on Facebook where people share their accounts and their sightings, their footage of whatever it is they're seeing, ghosts, UFOs, Bigfoot. So a really exciting aspect of this show that we're pretty pumped about is that we're going to be playing some videos and reviewing them and talking about what we're seeing. If a video looks absolutely fake, we're going to call it out. We're going to pull no punches on this show. If it's convincing, we're going to say that too. The fact of the matter is, unless you were there and you were the one recording it, you really don't know for a fact. But there are some, you also have to take into account that in today's day and age, you have deep fakes, really good CGI. So it really is hard to say whether certain videos are real or fake. But we're gonna take a fun, lighthearted approach to it and watch some crazy videos and just see, what we think, and we want to know what you think. So later on, towards the end of the show, um, I don't know how many people are gonna be in here, but we will always at the end of every show open up the line basically, and if you want to share your story, we can have you on screen. um, you can also share your comments both on Facebook and YouTube, and we will try to keep up with those as well. But for this first show, just to kick things off, we're going to go through, we have about 7 videos lined up here, all related to Bigfoot, and we're going to go through those. Like I said, we're going to review them, and at the end of the videos, we're going to get into a little bit of discussion about our thoughts on Bigfoot. Is it possible that a giant, hairy, ape-like creature, possibly related to human beings, is out there in the wilderness and has remained undiscovered for possibly hundreds, if not thousands of years? So, Matt, I don't know. What do you say we kick off some of these videos and get into it?
Oh, I'm down. Let's do it.
All right. So when we hit these videos, there will be no sound from us. So we're going to play the videos and let them go through. And then after the video, we'll go through each one. So let's kick it off with this first video. I believe this video is one that I got and showed Matt the other night, and it was pretty compelling. It's pretty short. It's 11 seconds long. And I think you'll be interested to see what we see and what I saw in this video that was quite compelling to me. So let's play it. I'm not sure. Also, volume control. Be careful. I don't want to blow anyone's eardrums out. So let's play the first video.
What the fuck is that?
Apologize for the language there. We can't control that. But what you see is a night vision camera in the woods, and what appears to be, for lack of a better option, Bigfoot, the face of a Sasquatch, and him turning, or her turning and disappearing. Matt, what's your initial impression on that video?
You're not gonna like it.
Go for it.
I feel like it's a mask.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, because the thing that gives me is it is a night vision camera. There's ultraviolet light. There's no
True.
eye glow.
That's true. That's very true. I didn't even take that into consideration. What I took into consideration, as soon as I saw that video, I immediately jumped onto Amazon and I looked up Bigfoot mask, orangutan mask, and gorilla mask just to see, because it almost looks like Harry from Harry and the Hendersons. If you look, it's got like a white goatee kind of. But I didn't even take into consider the eye shine. Let's watch this again. I'm gonna look at that closer.
What the fuck is that?
I kind of feel like there was a little bit of eye shine. I kind of feel like there's a little bit of eye shine. Not enough as you would expect.
Not as okay. I'll give you that. Not as much as you would think a creature that predominantly moves at night would have.
Now the question is what kind of, like I said, we're not there. We weren't there.
Yeah.
So were they shining a flashlight on this creature? That's what it appears. Let's take another look and see if we can see any light off of the trees or anything like that to give us a better idea of maybe they hit it with the light. Maybe there was a low light source. Because I would expect if they had a flashlight on this creature that the eye shine would be very, very noticeable. So let's check it out again. I think Matt's onto something.
What the fuck is that?
Will be correct. I wish the video wasn't 11 seconds long. That's I don't know if this annoys you as much as it annoys me, Matt, but you get these super compelling videos and it's like, boom, over. And you're like, where's the rest of it? You're telling me you recorded it for 11 seconds? that kind of thing annoys me.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't chase after it, so I can understand why it was cut off when it took off. I mean, on this episode of How White People Die,
it could very well be that at 12 seconds they're like, all right, Gary, go ahead and take off the mask. you know, you never know, but
yeah,
you know, when you see videos like that, and that's what you have to be really careful of when you're going on the internet. And one thing that's like I said, that's going to be fun about the show is we're going to pull no punches. You know, we're not here to say that these videos are 100% real or 100% fake. We're just going to give you our honest opinions. And Matt made a perfectly good point. No heavy eye shine. And you would think that the creature would have heavy eye shine because I've seen multiple videos supposedly of Sasquatch where they're filming into the woods and you can see two glowing eyes, clear as day, and it's not a heavy light source. This is without night vision. So very interesting video. This second video I thought was really interesting. It is a video of supposedly Bigfoot walking away in the woods. And at first I was like, but towards the end, I believe it's towards the end, you get a perfect back shot of this thing. And the thing is massive, or it appears to be massive. So let's watch this video. Matt, you sent me this one. So this one was pretty interesting.
So I'm addicted to this, not in a literal medical sense, but I don't think I could live without it. And it's very convenient.
That's funny. I'm addicted to it too, and I can't live without it. Initial thoughts, Matt.
man, I feel like that one's pretty legit, to be honest.
The size of the creature, its mass, and I feel like, let's watch it again. I feel like you can kind of distinguish some musculature underneath the fur, which, you know, some of these videos, when I see these creatures in the videos, they look really well kept. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, that's some pretty shiny fur. I've never seen a bear look that clean. So I get a little skeptical when I see videos that are very clear. Like this one's super clear. I wish it was longer. Another video that's this one's 12 seconds long, but let's watch it again. There's two shots of it from the back in the beginning and then one again at the end when they kind of replay it. So let's watch this again.
So I'm addicted to this, not in a literal medical sense, but I don't think I could live without it. And it's very convenient.
It's a pretty compelling video. Gosh, the size of that thing, it's not only wide from the back, but it's like thick.
Yeah.
If it is a suit, that is a heavy freaking suit. I'll tell you that.
Well, I mean, even just get that height on some of those trees, it would have to be a guy on stilts, and the stride's too natural.
That's another issue I have. You know, and I say that I would do things differently if I was in the woods and I saw a creature walking like that. I would want a full frame shot, head to toe. That way that you can get some scale, because it's really hard to get scale in this video. And a good example of scale is I was scrolling through my Facebook feed today, and there was this story about the world's largest alligator shot and killed in Africa, right? The thing looked to be like 30 or 40 feet long. It was huge. And there was an African tribe um, all standing behind it. And the thing looked like a dinosaur. You know, we talk about, or we're going to talk about monsters and things like that and legendary creatures. That's a dinosaur right there. We have dinosaurs on Earth, crocodiles and alligators. You know what I mean? We got anacondas. And when I saw this picture of this crocodile, I was like, my God, that thing's huge. But upon closer inspection, you can tell that the people are actually standing pretty far behind the thing. So the scale is off. But on
I
first
know,
glance,
I know which
yeah,
photo you're talking about. It was
yeah,
like 22 feet long, and they were standing like 4 or 5 feet away from it.
okay, that can severely increase the apparent size of the creature. Because I know that I've also seen a picture of uh like a hog that someone shot somewhere in the south that looks absolutely massive. The thing looks like it's 1,000 pounds, and I don't know how big the biggest hog ever shot and killed was, but I know they get big. I don't know if they get that big.
It really depends. So if it's a natural wild hog, maybe 200 to 300 pounds is a big one. If a domesticated pig gets released, they turn into what's called a hogzilla.
Hogzilla, that's what they call this thing.
Yeah. So what happens is like they go feral. Like as soon as like a domesticated pig, I think somebody said it takes like 30 days, and their complete physical body changes, their hair changes, like their tusks start to grow more, everything,
Wow.
and they
So
just start
they
putting
adapt
on
really
more
quick.
size. Yeah,
That's
that's why
crazy.
pigs are like such a problem down here in the South. Like I think the last I heard was 3 or 4 years ago. No, this was almost 10 years ago. I'm sorry. Feral hogs cause about $4 million in crop damage in Texas alone.
Wow. I know I know they get crazy with hunting them down. Um, I've seen videos of like Ted Nugent, like in a helicopter, just mowing them down with ARs. It's insane. Um, but scale, going back to the original
Yeah,
um
scale.
topic. I gotta see this video again because this thing looks absolutely massive.
So I'm addicted to this, not in a literal medical sense, but I don't think I could live without it. And it's very convenient.
So hard to say.
Yeah, no, it's definitely so towards the end of it, you can see where you get a little bit of scale compared to
Mm.
the trees there towards the end. Not great, not a great scale, but you get a little bit of one. I mean, it looks to be at least 7 foot tall.
Just judging it based on the mass, like the upper torso, the thing has to be several hundred pounds. Um, it's so thick. It
Oh,
I
absolutely.
the traps on that thing, like it has no neck. Let's watch it again. There's no neck.
So I'm addicted to this, not in a literal medical sense, but I don't think I could live without it. And it's very convenient.
I mean, the thing that does it for me is like it fits right within 95% of descriptions.
100%. And it's like I said, it's really tough when there's only 12 seconds of video. So you have to really break down what you've seen, and you can kind of see some arm swing. And what it appears is that the arms actually hang far below the waist, and they're thick arms. It could it be in a guy? Could it be a guy in a really large suit? Yes. We really don't know, but it's a
Yeah.
super compelling video. Um, I wouldn't dismiss it right away. I would like to find out if there's a longer clip with more footage, um, because you can tell a lot by getting a long shot of its gait, how it walks, and it's just super interesting that it's a. It seems like a lot of these Bigfoot videos, they're walking away, which can be a good thing because you can, get a lot from that. Unfortunately, everybody wants to see the face because you hear a lot of these accounts and people say when they see these things from the front and they look into its face, they say that it has human-like eyes and it humanizes the creature. And I don't know about you, but I've been to the zoo and I've looked in the eyes of great apes, and you can feel that, ancestral connection.
Like you
So,
can feel them processing what's going on.
yeah, absolutely, 100%. And as a hunter, if I'm a hunter and I have a gun and I'm out in the woods and I see Bigfoot and I'm like ready to take a shot and the thing looks at me, you know what I mean? I might go, that's a man. You know what I mean? That's a very hairy, large man. So I might not want to
Man,
shoot it.
I will say this: we are lucky that somebody trying to do a hoax hasn't been shot yet, or at least that I've heard of.
I think somebody, it's funny you say that. I'll have to see if we can, in a later episode, we'll have to pull it up, but I think some clown was running around in a Bigfoot suit and he did get hit by a car. I believe that was a
Okay,
news
I
story.
did hear about that. Yeah, he did get raped
Good
because he didn't see the car coming because of the mask.
God. Oh man. Didn't see the car coming because of the mask. You know? Let's pull up another video. That was a really let's watch that one last time.
So I'm addicted to this, not in a literal medical sense, but I don't think I could live without it. And it's very convenient.
I think the commentary is funny. I don't know if that's the original commentary.
Oh no, that's a TikTok sound.
Okay. I'm not too well versed on TikTok, so it's funny when you get some of these. This video, I believe this is the video that you sent from what appears to be somebody or some people inside a tent and looking out of the tent and seeing Bigfoot. And in this one, you can actually see a face. So this one's 19 seconds long, a little bit longer than the previous videos. So let's take a look. Grainy as hell.
Grainy as all get out, but you know what? The face looks very ape-like, but also very Neanderthal-like.
That's true. Now I'm gonna have to watch it again and look for the thick brow ridge. You hear that a lot in accounts where they talk about deep set eyes, but a really thick brow ridge, which if you look at skulls of Neanderthals, you'll see that they have heavy brow ridges. And it's said that Sasquatch has some of those characteristics and facial features. Also a cone head. So I'll be looking for a more conical shaped head. Let's take a look again. Definitely appears a little bit cone shaped on the head. Definitely needs to get some Rogaine or something because he looks to be bald on the head. I can't really tell.
It could also depend on where the video is from.
True.
Like if they were, I mean, I imagine they'd have different fur densities for different environments.
Very true. I've heard, accounts of them having long hair, and I've heard accounts of them having fur, because a lot of people don't think about that there is a distinction between the two,
Yeah.
So the facial feature, it's kind of creepy. Part of me wants to say that they could easily find a mask, and from grainy footage like this, it would be so easy to get a mask, a gorilla mask or something that maybe
Yeah.
doesn't look like that's maybe it's a gorilla mask, but it's off. So like if you put it next to a real gorilla, it wouldn't look like a real gorilla, but it has human enough characteristics, like Matt said, Neanderthal like characteristics, that it's pretty convincing. Gosh, how scary would that be? You're in a tent,
Right.
you hear something outside, you look out, it's daylight too, which is interesting. They look out and there's Bigfoot. Now me, I would want to say open the tent and get a full shot of it. But then I'm thinking to myself, hell no. Stay in the tent. But how safe are you in a tent? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of stories of them messing with people while they're in camps,
Oh my, yeah, that's true. Throwing stones, things like that.
or even come up and smack in the tent.
Oh God, could you imagine? Giant hand just
Yeah, just sitting there chilling.
I'd be screaming at it. There's beer and hot dogs in the cooler outside. Leave us alone.
Come out and you got a drunk Bigfoot doing a weenie roast.
He's making s'mores. Let's watch this video again. The face is just super. These videos, it's very easy to get creeped out with this kind of stuff. Let's take a look again. An ear, and the ear seems to be really far back on its head, which is gorilla like.
I
If
mean,
you
the
ask me.
eyes are deep set. The brow ridge is there. I mean, it fits the descriptions.
God, clear video. I wish we had dates and stuff. The problem with these TikTok videos is that you don't have, if it's not the original source, you don't know when it was filmed. For all we know, it was ripped off a VHS tape.
Yeah.
So it's really hard. And you get complaints all the time. Well, how come we don't have clear footage of this thing? Man, I say all the time where if I was in the woods, I would get the best footage ever. But I imagine I'd be shaking. It's not like Bigfoot's going to show himself in a perfectly open environment where you're like, there's a perfect shot of Bigfoot. He's not going to sit there and pose for you real quick, like take a shot. You know what I mean? So these things happen so infrequently and by chance that, you really can't prepare. So I can't be too judgmental on the quality of the videos. Although I will be on the show. I'll be very judgmental. But definitely interesting. At the end of the show, it might be fun to talk about what video was the most compelling to each of us.
Okay.
Let's do that. Okay, next video. This one's a little bit longer. This is almost a minute long. I don't remember which one this is. So let's just go ahead and play it. But the last video, I find it to be pretty convincing. What was your assessment of that one, Matt?
That last one we just watched?
Yeah.
Man, like I said, it fits the descriptions. I really feel like they had, it could have been like early morning even.
True.
And just their phone ups the quality a little bit. So I mean, it wasn't very bright. Like, yeah, you could tell it was daytime, but it could have been early morning. Like they were just getting up for the day and it was still wandering around before settling in for the day.
Very true. It's often said that they're nocturnal and that you will see them at like early dawn before they go back to their little Sasquatch house. The daytime shots are really compelling to me. Because if you think about it, if these creatures are real and they've been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years, they're masters of the wilderness. They know how to hide. They know how to hunt. So, to catch one in daylight, I would assume to be very rare. But let's take a look at this next video.
That is it's not a bear. It stands up.
Matt, thoughts?
Shot on potato. But also, digital zoom isn't our friend. I mean, it really isn't, because you lose a lot with a digital zoom. Whatever it was, it had some size to it. Because I mean, like those pine trees that were next to the road, we have those all over the place down here, and they're about a good 5-6 foot tall. So I mean, and that thing being further back behind them, still, and being bigger. I mean, it was big, but I can't say, I don't want to say for certain it's a compelling video. But I mean, whatever that was big.
This is what is commonly referred to in the Bigfoot community as blob squatch. When you get footage and it's just a black mass and there's no distinguishing features. It was interesting when it stood up, you could almost see like another figure next to it, like almost like like an infant. It was very interesting. Was it kneeling still? And those were its knees. The dog's barking. That tells you that, unless somebody crafted this video, if you're going to hoax a video, I would think that you would want it to be somewhat convincing, and not just a blob. So I'm going to go ahead and take it on face value that it really could be, it could be a bear. It could be, that's another thing. When you're looking at these videos, if they are authentic, there's only two things that a big, giant, massive creature could be in the woods with dark fur, and it's either a bear or a Sasquatch. Not too many things are 7 feet tall, and if it was a moose, obviously it's got the rack, and obviously they're gigantic and they walk on 4 legs. So when you talk about bipedal creatures, one of two things, actually one of three: human in a suit, Sasquatch, or a bear walking upright. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But let's take another look. We won't play the whole thing, but I do want to play a little bit of this. It's scaled for TikTok, so it has some text and stuff, but you can't read it.
There is a bear. It stands up.
I think you're right. It does have quite a bit of size. And unless buffaloes learn to jump very slowly, and raise themselves up, and the way it stands up, it clearly looks like it's in a crouched position and then comes up. It really is a shame that you can't see any distinguishing characteristics of its appendages or anything like that.
I will agree with you. It looks like there's a smaller thing next to it. It could have been a parent. And as a parent myself, and as you a parent yourself, often we end up kneeling down on the ground dealing with a child throwing a tantrum.
Absolutely. And then when you stand up, they're right next to you.
Yeah.
Very true. There are videos out there that exist that show what appears to be an infant. I'm going to try to find this one video. It's like a tree, and this thing is like, I believe, if I remember right, it's like in a tree, and you can see this other little creature like hanging off of it like apes. Very compelling. I'm sure it's on TikTok somewhere. I think I saw it on one of those Bigfoot shows a long time ago, a few years ago or something.
Yeah. I think I know the one you're talking about. Like, it's walking next to a tree, and you can see a smaller figure swinging in the branches.
Yes.
And then as it starts to walk off, it swings down onto the parent.
Yes. Yeah. We'll have to figure out we'll have to find that video, because that's definitely compelling. Those types of videos, like the one we just played, are really hard to, you can say whatever you want, but it's really, really hard to come up with a concrete theory or opinion on something that's so minimal. With the other more clear footage where you can see facial features and things like that, or musculature under the fur, or have some sort of scale to size, it's way easier to come up with an opinion. This next video I thought was really interesting. To be honest with you, Matt, I was on the fence of playing this one because I was like, gosh, it's another one of those ones that's so far away you really can't make out enough. But the premise of this is that a creature is seen digging, what appears to be digging up a body in a cemetery, which is crazy to me. Why, if it is a Sasquatch, why would a Sasquatch do that? Other than maybe fresh burial and it can smell it and wants to eat it. Like, I'm not quite sure, but this video is also a minute long, so let's play it.
It looks like she's digging with her hands.
digging for what?
We need to look for hands. See? She's around. What is that?
Watch the CMT Music Awards live Wednesday, June 7th at 8, 7 Central on CMT. Before I started stowing and going in my Chrysler Pacifica, things were pretty tight. Whose turn to hold the luggage? Now I shine like a diamond in the most awarded minivan of the year. Looking good. I also struggle to parallel park my old minivan. Moving? Wait. But thanks to the available parallel and perpendicular park assist system, my mistakes are all
She's getting down there, man. She is getting down there. Super weird.
Okay. Which way?
That's just weird.
Another blob squatch.
So something that I noticed is that child kept saying she.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, she kept saying she's really getting down in there. I mean, that could just be a kid generalizing something. But man, that wasn't very big either.
No. When I originally saw it, I was thinking, do they actually still manually dig graves?
No.
I see machinery. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So either these guys are really old school, that was a grave robber, or it was some sort of creature digging in the cemetery. Like I said, this was a video that I looked at that I was like, is it compelling enough to play on the show? But this is a great example with what Matt said. You know, listen to what the people are saying in the video. You know, as long as it's the original, it's not a TikTok sound. You know what I mean?
No, that one. I don't think that one was. I think that one actually was the people.
The reaction. I'm not convinced it's a Sasquatch. If I saw a giant hairy creature digging in a cemetery, I'd be freaking out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this is a little girl and a mom. You know, and all things considered, they seem to be pretty chill about it. You know,
I feel like they were seeing maybe a drug addict just having a moment. I mean, because like I said, it was just a Tuesday for them. You know what I mean? They're just like, oh, look at that over there. Yeah, she's really digging with her hands.
The drug addict of the family goes to the wake and sees the body and realizes that old Uncle Joe's wearing a Rolex and they bury him.
Yeah.
She's like, I need that watch. She's gonna go pawn it.
I smoke rocks. But yeah, that one I don't feel like is Bigfoot at all. Like I feel like that was just. I mean, they were too chill. Like I said, it was just a Tuesday. They were just like, oh, look at that.
Oh, that's funny. I'm not convinced at all about that one. What's funny, let me play. We had a comment from Bristy, who just happens to be my wife. Thanks for watching, wife. Comedian. She says, okay, but does it have a Sam Elliott mustache or do I need new glasses? I believe she's referring to the tent video.
I think so.
Now I have to watch that one more time and see what she's talking about because I have all the videos queued up, so I can't see the comments. So Matt, you can see the comments, right?
Yes, I'll let you know.
Yeah, let me know. Now I got to go back. I think it's just a really big mouth. It actually, like an ape mouth.
Yeah, just a big old mouth. I didn't see a mustache.
Although I would be very, very happy if I saw Sasquatch and he had a Sam Elliott mustache.
Are you kidding me? I would want that movie to happen so bad.
Have you what?
The Man Who Killed Hitler and then Bigfoot?
Yes. Nobody could play that part but Sam Elliott.
I haven't watched it yet, but it's on my to watch list. I don't know how I knew what you were referring to just by have you. I don't know.
Oh, we're simpatico.
Yeah.
I won't give it away because it's a fun movie, but I'll be honest, I think I've been let down every single Bigfoot movie when I see the Bigfoot. I think there's only Harry and the Hendersons was like a childhood favorite of mine, so I really can't hate on that. Uh,
Well, I mean, that was a like the special effects, like the suit and everything for that time period. They spent some money.
let me ask you something. Let's say
Right on
Harry
me.
and the Hendersons. Harry and the Hendersons doesn't exist, okay? And you
Okay.
see that suit, and you don't know it's a suit, but you see that we'll call Harry a creature. We'll refer to him as the creature. You see that creature in the woods. I, I'm convinced.
Oh yeah.
I go, oh, that's Bigfoot. Holy shit. Get the camera. Like they did a great job based on everything you've ever heard about Bigfoot. Kind of human features, conical head, gigantic. Um Superb
No.
special effects.
Yeah, that special effects artist did their homework.
Yeah. I actually was it on Netflix? I recently watched it again and it still holds up. Filmed in my hometown of Seattle, Washington. Um very very fun movie for the kids.
It's got to be one of my favorite John Lithgow movies.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. uh he that movie, okay. So one thing that's super compelling from that movie that made me think that wow, that is possible. At the very end scene when they're saying goodbye to Harry and he walks into the woods and as he's walking away all of a sudden the forest that you thought was just forest, all of a sudden all these creatures stand up and you realize they were hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
And it got me thinking, yeah, if you've been in the woods and that's how you live and you're a for lack of a better term, wild man of the woods or wild creature of the woods, and you've been there for hundreds or thousands of years, and generationally, instinctually, it's in your nature to hide from humans. Um, yeah, I would think that you are a master of disguise. And even in one of the scenes, in one of in the last sequence of the movie, Harry is up in a tree, and he's like standing there perfectly still, and birds. I think I'm remembering this right. Birds
Yeah,
are like
it's birds. Yeah.
on him, and you're thinking to yourself, yeah. Who's to say that a Bigfoot couldn't climb a tree and hide from your ass? You know what I mean? Um, I've often thought that the best way to find Bigfoot would be to go where the sightings have been plentiful, post yourself up in a tree, and be prepared to wait weeks and make
Right.
no sound. Make no sound. Um, Try not to have a bowel movement or anything that could give away your scent. You'd have to descent yourself, and you would just have to hang out in a tree and see if they come back. Because if these creatures have been out there for that long, they're gonna know you're coming. They're gonna know you're on your way. They've got you. They got the drop on you immediately. As soon as you step foot in their area, they got you.
Well, I mean, it's like touching on the hide in plain sight. Have you like I grew up watching animal documentaries. Discovery Channel when they actually played animal shows was my jam. Have you ever watched ambush videos of predators waiting to ambush anything like crocodiles, lions,
I've seen some, yeah,
tigers?
sure.
You don't see them. You know they're there. You're
Yeah,
watching it, and you
sure.
don't see them until they move. Like Australia, like one video I watched, they said in Australia, if it's a murky creek, always throw a rock
Oh,
before you swim. And this guy goes, "Remember rock check?" Tossed a rock, and this huge croc exploded out of the water.
okay.
Like instantly exploded out of the water. You couldn't tell it was there. You had no idea, and it was like within 5 feet of them.
Guess what country I'm never going in the water? Australia. Not
Oh
swimming
yeah,
in
yeah.
Australia. I don't care if it's a crystal clear pool. You're not going to catch me in the water in Australia. No way. Africa, Australia, nope. Negative. Florida, nope.
Well, they say in any picture you take of Australia at any given time, there's at least 2,000 animals in the photo that can kill you.
Really?
It's a joke, but yeah.
Uh-oh. You had me thinking there for a second. I was like, I guess it could be true, Um, yeah, Australia is a very scary place. I think about wanting to go there and like see you think it's all fun and games. You're gonna go see some koalas all loaded on eucalyptus. But I just recently saw a video, and you don't really, as an American, if you've never seen a kangaroo, like I've seen kangaroos here in like a kangaroo farm, and the ones that I've seen are small. They're cute, but even then, like you see them hopping around, you look at their legs, and you're like, if that thing kicked me, it'd probably do some damage. And then I saw this video of this 6-footer kangaroo beating the hell out of this man, and he was getting his ass kicked.
I
It
saw
was
the
not
same video,
pretty.
and he ended up choke holding it and wrestling it to the ground, didn't
Yeah.
he?
He he chin checked that kangaroo a couple times, swung on him. That kangaroo is like, "That's all you got, mate," and just kept going. It was
You know
brutal.
that used to be a sport, right?
What? That's real?
Kangaroo boxing? Yeah, that was a sport like way back when.
Kangaroos boxing kangaroos?
No.
Oh, man.
Kangaroos boxing bare knuckle fighters.
You know, I hate to be that guy, but I'd probably watch that. And I'd always be rooting for the kangaroo.
Oh, every time. I'd always root for the kangaroo.
And it's funny because some of them, I don't know if you've seen the pictures, there are some kangaroos out there that are just jacked. They're yoked.
Yeah. The big reds. Yeah.
Yeah, they are absolutely jacked. Yeah, very intimidating creatures. Okay, we we went off the rails there, but that's funny.
Focus up.
Yeah. Okay. So cemetery video, we're gonna go ahead and that one's gone.
No more.
That's my I'm actually gonna delete it from the feed. We don't need to watch that one again. That one's gone. Okay, next one. I don't remember what this one is.
Started to hear stuff out here. I'm over here on 97 on the rest stop, and I don't know. What the hell is that? What the heck is that? What the absolute fuck is that? Starting to regret that I stopped at this rest stop. What the? And they say Bigfoot isn't real? I don't even want to stick my arm out the window. I can't believe.
Wow. Thoughts, Matt?
Okay, so I want to believe this one.
Me too.
The sounds are there. Like it reflects what you've heard on previous recordings people have gotten of this. The part that gets me is the static of when the call's happening. It almost is like he has a speaker sitting there in the cab with him. He's playing the sound.
Interesting. I immediately, when I hear sounds, I immediately think of creatures that we know of, cougars, mountain lions, things like that, bobcats that make interesting noises, even deer. Some deer make crazy sounds as well. Elk make noise, obviously coyotes, things like that. When I hear, let's just say that it's not played off of a speaker.
Yeah.
The amount of lung power to be able to project for the long, like it's a long, like, whoa, like I imagine if I took my deepest breath and tried to Bigfoot call, like I wouldn't be able to go as long as what that creature appears to be able to do. It's also in the woods, so it's projecting, and it's obviously bouncing off everything because it's like echoing. But if that's real and that guy was really, because I'm a truck driver, I have been over the road. If I was in a rest area and I heard that, I would be so scared because it just doesn't sound like a normal creature to me.
Because you're out of hours and you can't move.
Yeah. uh,
Man, like I said, it's very compelling. It really is. I can't help but be just a little skeptical because, like I said, it's before the sound. There's no static, and then when you start hearing the sound, it like kicks up. Like either he was trying to enhance something before he put the video out, or it's a speaker sitting there cranked up, and you're just hearing the white noise coming out of it. Play it one more time and just get to the first sound, and then we can kick it off, and you tell me what you think.
Once again, Matt pinpointing a detail where, for somebody who wants to believe, especially in Bigfoot, I want Bigfoot to be real so bad. You hear something like that, and also me being distracted because I am a truck driver. I don't even think about the static noise that you hear. So I can't wait to hear this again because I didn't notice that, and Matt did. So this is great when you're watching videos. The details matter, folks. The details matter. And that's what's also fun about the show is that with two brains of questionable size, we'll see what we can come up with. So let's play this again. I will distinctively be listening for the static.
Started to hear stuff out here. I'm over here on 97 on the rest stop. And I don't know. What the hell is that? What the heck is that? What the absolute fuck is that? Starting to regret that I stopped at this rest stop. And they say Bigfoot isn't real? I don't even want to stick my arm out the window. I can't believe.
Okay.
You see what I'm talking about?
I do. So, a couple things to think of. One, it's by a highway. So I was also looking in the background, and you can hear the trucks going, right? The other thing you have to take into account, and the only reason I would even know this is because of my experience as a truck driver. Certain trucks have APUs, which are auxiliary power units. So if you're stopped for the night, you can have your AC running, and they're little diesel engines, and they kick on and off. So it's not too far-fetched to say that maybe a truck 3 stalls down, their APU just happened to kick on at the same time as the sound. So that could be it, but it does sound staticky. Now, what kind of phone was this recorded on? I know that I've heard some things in my phone that I've recorded, like loud engines and things like that, where the sound gets distorted.
Yeah.
Really hard to tell. I'm actually, I was looking at his TikTok name. I'm going to have to go read some of the comments and see what he says, because a lot that can give away a lot of stuff. If it's an original video and the source is posting it, I believe this guy, I believe this is his video and he's a truck driver. I'm gonna have to because it's not from a page like the ones we were seeing earlier, because all of these have these are all from TikTok and they have names.
Yeah.
This
No,
guy
I
was
want
like,
this one to be real. I really do.
this guy's like Danny Ramirez and a bunch of numbers. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do some research and possibly reach out to old Danny Ramirez. It would be fun if we could get a hold of somebody like that and just be like, so we hear some static and then all of a sudden the sound comes on. I would love to pick his brain and see, you know, what kind of phone he was using. Like, I want details. You know what I mean? He says
Oh,
it's
yeah,
at
absolutely.
10:48 at night. Trucks could be rolling in next to him that you can't see on the road, because that's another thing I thought. Oh, well, the sound is going and you hear that extra that it picks up that static, and I don't see a truck passing on the highway. But that, who's to say that a truck didn't just pull in a couple stops down? But they're air brakes, so you would hear the air brake go off. Psh. So there's a few things to take into consideration with that video. Super compelling. If there wasn't that questionable audio, I would absolutely believe
Oh,
that
I'd be
that's
100% in.
yeah. The deepness in the tone, the length and how long that tone goes on for. Yeah. Pretty sold on that being a Bigfoot. Which, could you imagine if you're out camping and you hear that noise? And it seems like I mean, when it's that loud in the forest and it's echoing off everything, that would be absolutely frightening.
Oh, you think you're not going to make it home after that camping trip?
Yeah. Very compelling. I love that video.
Yeah,
I
it's a
wish
good
you
one.
hadn't spoiled it for me, Matt, but that's what we're here to
I'm
do.
so sorry.
Uh,
I'm so sorry.
but I'll be reaching out to that guy, or at least trying to read some of the comments and see what he has to say, because as you guys know, it's social media, and if people smell BS, you know, they're going to tell you they smell BS. So it'll be interesting to see how he responds, and things like that. So we've gone through some videos. We do have one more that could answer some questions and actually debunk a lot of the sightings of Bigfoot that we've seen. I think we'll play that. We'll talk about it a little bit, and then Matt, you and I can discuss which video was our favorite. Okay.
Okay.
So here we go. So what we see in the video is somebody who has gone down a rabbit hole and has seen many videos of bears walking upright. And what's funny is that likely, I don't want to say a majority, but I'm sure there are many, a large percentage of total Bigfoot sightings have probably been bears walking upright. Here's the thing. Some of the videos where you see what you assume to be a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot walking, the gait and the stride this thing or these things have are huge. That bear walking looks like a guy who just crapped himself and he's trying to make sure that his pants don't leak. You know, he's like waddling. If I saw that in the woods and I saw that maneuver, I would know it was a bear. If you're not a Bigfoot connoisseur or a Bigfoot believer and you happen to see a bear walking upright in the woods, I don't know how. It would be interesting to see how many people know that bears walk upright like that. It would be interesting.
You know what? I did not know until about 2 or 3 years ago, to be
Really?
honest. Like, I knew they stood up and I knew they could do like a couple steps.
Yeah, but walking
I
like
didn't know
that.
that. I didn't know they could go for a stroll.
He's on his way. He's late for church. He's like, oh, get out of here. all he needs is like a little briefcase. If he's carrying a little briefcase,
slap a fedora and get that dude a tie, and he's Yogi Bear.
Hey, boo boo.
Hey, boo boo. But also, my argument there is, like I said, this is a very interesting theory, and I enjoy it as a theory. My argument there is, you have experienced woodsmen reporting Bigfoot sightings.
Very true.
And they would know a bear if they saw it, but then also, like we've talked about this whole episode, scale. you got people describing these things being 9 foot, 10 foot tall. A black bear is not going to be that big.
That's grizzly bear size, and I don't
And
think
you
there's
ain't walking
video of
away
grizzly
from
bears
that being
walking
like,
like
"Oh, I
that.
saw a Bigfoot."
Yeah. And if you think about the scale that if you hear accounts from people that have seen these things up close, this bear, if you look, its head dwarfs its shoulders because it's not until it's on the ground on all fours that it becomes a little bit wider. But once it stands up, it slims out a little bit. So
Yeah.
the head and neck, it's huge. When they talk about Bigfoot, oftentimes they say it's like a head placed on a giant body. Big trapezius muscles. So unless you're very inexperienced or your eyes are fooling you or you're wanting to see Bigfoot, I believe it would be easy to distinguish or at least be able to identify a bear walking upright. It might shock you, but I've never heard an account of somebody going, "Dude, I saw a Bigfoot, but it had really short legs. It was crazy." Never heard that. And then these trackways that have been discovered and hundreds of casts of these footprints, the strides are giant. They're huge.
Like some of them are at least like almost 2 foot strides, at least.
I've heard of bigger. I've heard of 3 foot, 4 foot. It's just the mountain of evidence. And we're going to be getting into some questions that a lot of people that maybe are skeptical about Bigfoot have. I've got a list of stuff that we're going to cover, and it should make for some pretty good talking points. We've already gone over an hour. So, Matt, let's go ahead and talk about the videos that we've just watched here tonight. Which video was the most convincing for you?
Tent Squatch, for sure. I'm going to quote your wife on that one. Tent Squatch.
Tent Squatch. She did say Tent Squatch. Tent Squatch.
I mean, it's just the face was correct. There wasn't anything else to lead you to believe that it was fake. I mean, there was even a little bit of shake in the camera because they were nervous as all get out. Man, I'm telling you, that was the most compelling to me from what we watched this evening.
I would agree with you. It's not a night vision shot. It's not. I mean, it's blurry, but it's clear enough where there's certain features of the face that you can distinguish, and the head, placement of the ear, or what I believe is an ear. Really off, really set far back on the head, like a gorilla or a great ape. The shape of the mouth, how the face is human-like, but the mouth, like its jaw, it appears to have a giant jaw, which would make sense.
Yeah.
Let's watch the video one more time. You've got cheekbones, giant mandible. Gosh, yet another video where I wish 19 seconds just isn't long enough. Super compelling. I'm going to try to do some more research and see if there's extended footage or anything on that clip, or find out where the source of that clip is from. Very, very compelling clip. Let's talk some more about Bigfoot. So one of the questions that I hear, Matt, I'm sure you've heard this plenty of times, is people say, okay, if Bigfoot exists, where are the bodies? Have you heard that, Matt?
I have heard that a lot.
Yeah. What do you say to that?
Well, I mean, we don't know what kind of society this is. I mean, like, even looking at other family structured animals, I mean, even elephants will come back to where a member of their family fell and died and mourn and have a mourning process with them again, even just with the bones. I mean, and then you have like apes. Apes will carry the bodies of a dead loved one. at times. So I mean, we can't say for sure if they get buried or what, but I mean, surely they do something with the body. I mean, they could have some kind of mourning process with it or anything. Um, I mean, the old stories of like elephant graveyards where elephants would wander off to die.
Yeah.
I mean, those were real. I mean, that happens. So, I mean, how do we know they don't just have a cave where once one's old enough and sick enough, it just goes to die?
It's very true. I've heard stories of um, mounds in the woods where you go out there and there's just what appears to be burial mounds. Now, is it a Sasquatch burial mound? Who knows? I haven't seen any studies or anything done on those burial mound sites, but I know that there's been recent studies with great apes where they've studied them and they see that much like human society, they do mourn their dead and they do acknowledge that, you know, a loved one has died. So it's
Yeah.
interesting to see that there have been studies done. And when people think of monkeys and elephants and they just think of animals, they don't think that they have any type of ritual or ceremony or even mourning of their dead. That may be true for snakes like insects and
Yeah.
stuff, but I mean, even in the ocean, if a mama orca whale loses a baby, it like floats the baby up to the top and like scoots it along in the ocean and stuff, and it's hard for them to detach. So it wouldn't surprise me. So, do they bury their dead? Sasquatch could very well bury their dead. They could cannibalize their
possible.
dead and bury the bones. We don't know because there hasn't been real research done on these creatures, and they have not been studied like we study other animals. Now, why is that? There may not be very many of them. Like I said earlier, if they've been in the woods for that long, they're masters of the wilderness. So finding them and doing what we did to there's not going to be a Jane Goodall of Sasquatch. I just don't see that happening.
Believe it or not, I actually watched a video today where she backed up that Sasquatch is probably real.
I have heard that. I've read it and I saw that video. I was gonna put it up, but I wanted to review more sighting type stuff. But hearing somebody like Jane Goodall, who spent her whole life studying primates, and gorillas specifically, I think it was gorillas or chimpanzees.
Gorillas in the mist.
Gorillas in the mist. That's right. In Africa, she says it's very possible. So she's definitely someone like her. I think she might. She's definitely a primatologist. I'm not sure if she's an anthropologist as well, but somebody with a abundance of knowledge like Jane Goodall saying that the chances are very real that Sasquatch exists. It's pretty compelling, if you ask me.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, 100%, right? When you get an authority like that. The other authority that I believe is Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum from the University of Idaho or Idaho State University. I forget what the name of his university is, but he is a professor. He's an anthropologist, and I believe he has the largest collection of casted footprints, including hoaxed footprints. And if you look into his work, read his books, or watch videos or previous shows that he's been on, he's explained why he's come to this conclusion. Because you have to understand, as somebody with an educational background, saying these types of things, he could be blacklisted. You know what I mean? By his colleagues. They're like, oh yeah, Bigfoot. Okay. But his arguments are very compelling. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But another one of the questions that you get all the time, and we did some of that here tonight, where's the footage? Where's the crystal clear footage of Bigfoot? It seems like the best, most compelling evidence we have is the Patterson-Gimlin film of 1967 in Bluff Creek, California. The infamous video of Patty the Sasquatch walking away from the camera in a creek bed. Matt, what do you think about that footage?
I think that's probably 100% real. I do believe that is 100% real. Like, I've seen the shows where forensic scientists have tried to put a skeletal structure within that frame that they had there on the video, and it just there's no way, even at that, especially at that time, that it could have been a suit around someone. The movements and everything are just too fluid for it to be a suit with a structure within it to fill it out. It's not, because it's not clunky. It's nice, smooth strides, just cruising. So I mean, like I said, I think that one's 100% real.
I agree. And to what you were saying about it just cruising along, if it's a guy in a monkey suit, okay, it's 1967. He puts on this mask, and supposedly there was a gentleman who claimed to be the guy that was in the suit, and that they used football pads to bulk him up. Okay. Here's my problem with that. You've got a giant mask on. Okay. Just imagine putting a Halloween mask on, Matt. And
Yeah.
they put you in this creek bed, this dry creek bed. And they say, okay, walk, look back at the camera and walk. Dude, you're going to be stumbling over rocks. I mean, navigating alone. How many times did they have to shoot it to get that smooth of footage? You know what I mean? Was it
Right.
a one shot take? I'm not buying it.
No.
Especially in a suit, because there's one good shot, I think, at least one frame where Patty, that's the lovable name they've given the Patterson Gimlin Sasquatch, where I believe it's left foot comes up, and you can see the entire foot, and the way she's walking, it's just too realistic, and it would be too hard to fake that movement and that maneuverability that creature had on that dry lake bed. And throw on a suit, so not only do you have visual problems, because keep in mind the creature turns towards the camera. Okay, so we see the face, and people have enhanced the image of the face. It's got long lips, brow ridges, so we see the face. If it was human eyes, we would probably be able to tell. So let's just say for a minute that this was a suit. Guy puts on this giant mask, so he can't see. So he's walking through this dry creek bed, and he's got giant feet put on, and he's supposed to navigate as smoothly as Patty did in that video. I'm not buying it. I believe it's a real video. I believe that's the best footage we have of Sasquatch, and it's been hard to top. There's a lot of questionable history behind Roger Patterson, but I'm going to have to take the video on face value from what I see in the footage alone, and not take into account that from many sources he's a con artist and things like that, and he's made a lot of money, or his family's made a lot of money off the video. I believe it's authentic. I believe that was a Sasquatch.
I mean, just because somebody's a shite person doesn't mean they didn't stumble across Bigfoot.
Right? Could you imagine? He's just a POS, and he's like, I'm going to go find Bigfoot, and he actually does, and he's like, holy no way.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I mean,
right?
I think they just got lucky enough and just happened to stumble across her, because I mean, well, like, I've watched a lot of hunting shows, and I've studied a lot of hunting. I haven't done much hunting, but I've just studied the concept of it. And even in the movie Jeremiah Johnson, on a reference movie, is when they're trying to hunt elk, the old mountain man tells them stay on the other side of the horse. And they don't, the guy, Jeremiah Johnson, doesn't understand why at the time. And the guy goes, elk can't count, but they can tell when you're on 2 feet. So you stay on the other side of the horse. They think it's just another grazer cruising along. It'll let you get a little bit closer before they panic, and then lets you get a little bit better shot. I think those guys just happened to get lucky and stumbled across her because they were on horseback. And they weren't, and from all the stories I've heard, they weren't talking a lot. Like, they were being quiet, and they were just on horseback. So I think they just caught her off guard. She didn't realize there was people around. The wind could have been just right where she didn't smell them. Didn't see them coming up, heard hooves. So didn't think anything of it. Just chilling. Getting her Sasquatch tan on that creek bed.
Yeah.
And then they caught her by surprise.
Maybe she heard them coming, and she's like, oh my God, elk. Time to get today's meal. Just because she heard the walking, and she was there, and she's like, oh shit, humans. She bails. There's a.
I mean, like I said, I think they just caught her by surprise, because I mean, you don't hear anybody going out looking for Sasquatch on horseback. I hiked 10 miles into the woods.
I've heard theories that there's possibly another Sasquatch, possibly an adolescent, in the tree line, and she's looking back to make sure that their eyes are on her and not on her infant. I don't remember where I saw that, but they had enhanced some of the tree line, and it almost looked like you could see another creature. But if I remember right, and it's been a long time, I've seen so much footage and content on the Patty film that it's very easy to get lost in what I saw and when I saw it, because it's the most well-known footage of Sasquatch in history so far to date.
It's one of the most analyzed pieces of footage in history, and they still can't find where it's fake.
Yeah, they don't have any concrete evidence that it's faked. So
yeah, I mean, and like I said, that's got to be the most analyzed, 18 seconds of footage of all time.
Absolutely. So, where's the footage? Patterson-Gimlin footage, best footage we have so far. Unfortunately, it was filmed in 1967, but if you consider the quality of the equipment that they had and the ability that we have now to digitally enhance these videos, it's almost no question of whether or not the film is real. So when people ask, where's the footage? There's your footage right there.
I feel like anybody that just has to have concrete proof in front of them are just miserable people. Because, I mean, we discover, it doesn't get talked about a lot, but they discover, 3 new species a day. For a species such as humans that think we know everything, we discover a whole new life form that was already on our planet that we didn't know about all the time.
Yeah, no,
You know what
absolutely. I mean? And it's crazy to think about how many undiscovered species are still being discovered today, and how many have already been discovered. I mean, millions upon millions. So
yeah,
to absolutely doubt that Sasquatch exists would be foolish. Like I said earlier, if they've been out there for that long, they know how to hide from us. You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, you and I talked about this the other night when we were just chit chatting. I feel like we are. Trying to put my words together. We are purposely taught the wrong scale of things.
Sure.
I feel like we're taught to believe that we are running out of room. And don't be wrong. I mean, space is running out, but not the pace that people think it is. I didn't realize, because I felt like my area was very developed. And then last night I was showing you a sky shot of my area.
Yeah.
And how much green was there?
There was quite a bit.
I mean, so it goes to reason that just because we feel like we're crowded doesn't mean we're actually out of room.
100%.
I mean, there's still so much land that a person actually hasn't stepped foot on in the United States.
Wildlife in the United States, there's 111 million square miles of protected forest land. 111 million, acres, not square miles, acres. That's even less. That's it. That's crazy. 111 million acres. I said square miles. That would be gigantic.
Yeah.
But even an acre is that's a pretty sizable chunk of land. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's huge. Like, when you think about it, think about this, 400, here you go, give you a scale. The 4 6s is a ranch in Texas, okay? It is 400 something thousand square acres. Give you an idea here, that is 500 square miles.
Yeah. So when people say, where is it? How come we haven't seen it? How come we haven't found a family of them? How come we haven't found their civilization? First of all, it's said that there's possibly only 1,000, couple thousand of these things. I think someone either said less than 10,000 or less than 5,000 in existence, which is, how often do you see a bear in the woods? You know what I mean? So if it's running on low numbers like that, and you throw them in 111 million acres, 111 million acres. You know, good luck finding it.
Hold on, I'm gonna Google that. How many miles is that?
That would be 174,012 square miles.
You already had it pulled up. You
Yes.
dog.
Yes. I have a couple notes to make sure that I get my point across, and that we can talk about
I mean-
things like. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
Oh no, you're good. I mean, so like people, like I said, people are purposely taught the wrong scale. I'm not saying things are trying to be hidden from us, but
They're trying to be
we're
hidden from
purposely
us.
taught. Yeah, we're purposely taught the wrong scale of things. Like we're taught to think we are out of room.
Every time I fly and I see the amount of wilderness that is still in existence, like when you're up in the sky, like human beings and human civilization looks like a cancer upon the earth. It's like
Yeah.
we're just spreading out, and it's sad to see. But you fly over some of those areas that haven't been touched yet, and that you're not going to be able to build communities in, and you realize, man, when was the last time a person stood right there in the middle of those woods? Probably the chances are they might no humans ever stepped there. You know, it's
Yeah.
very possible. But yeah, going into when you're talking about where is the footage of Bigfoot, we've got the footage, and does there really need to be that much footage when you consider the vast amount of sightings that have happened in history that have been accounted for? So we have thousands upon thousands upon thousands of sightings of these creatures. We have a history with Native American folklore and legend from many different tribes, calling them many different names. So the history of these things is so vast that there has to, where there's smoke, there's fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've heard of feral humans in the woods. That might be a topic of a different show, but it's not impossible for a large bipedal, for lack of a better term, hominin or hominid to be in the woods of North America and the world. I know in Russia and I believe Siberia as well. It's been said that there's possibly still existing cavemen along with Bigfoot. Like they've seen Neanderthal looking human beings, like relic hominids, or hominins that have been seen. Cavemen. How crazy would that be if you're in Russia and you see a caveman with a spear or something? This show is going to be a lot of fun because we're going to talk about all sorts of crazy stuff and stuff that a lot of people that haven't heard of it before will probably be like, that is absolutely insane. And I think I can speak for Matt too. We're super excited to talk about it. But the footprint casts alone, where's the video footage? Do we really need it if we have physical evidence? And I think that footprint casts can be considered physical evidence because if you can distinguish the difference between a hoax or a fake foot and what appears to be a real foot, and you might ask, if you're not into the Bigfoot world like we are, you may ask, well, how can you tell the difference? And going back to Dr. Jeff Meldrum, he's mentioned many times that you can see dermal ridges in the footprint casts. What are dermal ridges? If you look at a hand, you can see all the different creases and ridges, and even the dermal ridges that make up the fingertips. Some of these footprints, you're able to see the patterns in the actual print, the little rings on the toes. And to fake dermal ridges would be, I would venture to say next to impossible.
I don't see how you could. I really don't.
You would have to, maybe with today's technology where you could 3D scan a foot and then scale it differently, transform it so it still has your human print like features. Maybe you could do it that way. But here's where I would say still hard to fake, because the research has been done showing that these creatures have a mid-tarsal break. Now humans, when they walk like this is your foot and these are your toes. They walk on the ball of their feet and then go up onto their toes. These animals and primates alike have mid-tarsal breaks where I had to write this down so that I wouldn't forget. But the mid-tarsal break is the ability of a non-human primate to lift the heel independently from the rest of the foot. So imagine this is the heel. So you're coming up and then boom, you're lifting all the way. So the footprints are showing a mid-tarsal break. No hoaxer that's just trying to get a laugh or trying to goof is going to go through the trouble of dermal ridges and a mid-tarsal break in their footprints. They're not going to do it.
Right.
And so we have these thousands of footprint casts that are huge, you know, over, I think the scale is between 13 and over 20 inches long, over 20 inches long. You're talking about, what is Shaquille O'Neal out there walking barefoot in the wilderness? I don't think so. Okay.
I think he's an 18, if I remember right.
Yeah. So,
but I mean, the thing is, you got the people that say, "Where's the video evidence?" When you counter with, "Well, here's this video evidence." Okay, but then how come we haven't found a body? Like, they will come with whatever argument they can instead of accepting there might be something out there they don't know about.
Yeah. What's crazy is like when you get into the realm of Bigfoot, it can get even crazier. Like me, I still lean towards that it's an undiscovered hominid, an ancestor to humans, definitely of the great ape lineage. That's what I believe. But you also hear strange accounts, like people that have shot Bigfoot point blank and it hasn't injured them. People that claim, this is where things get crazy, where people claim that Bigfoot or big feet communicate telepathically. Bigfoot sightings in correlation with UFOs, unidentified flying objects. So there could very well potentially be supernatural or extraterrestrial or interdimensional aspects that we don't know about. The options are endless of what this thing could be.
Leaning full in to the spirit of the show and just for theories, I mean, it's entirely possible that Bigfoot itself is a nature spirit.
Could be a ghost squatch.
You know what I mean? The ghost squatch, if you will.
A ghost squatch.
But I mean, like, there's that full on theory. I mean, I don't know if I've ever heard anybody come up with that theory, but I mean, it very well could just be a nature spirit. Hence, they just disappear.
There's been trackways that all of a sudden the footprints just disappear into nothing. No trees, no holes in the ground, just disappear, gone. And you're talking about a very long trackway, and they just disappear. How do you explain that? People have said they've seen Bigfoot disappear. Crazy things where if I heard it, I'd be like, that's insane. I still tend to lean towards it being a living, breathing creature. Now, when you get into the interdimensional talk, which we'll talk about on another episode of high strangeness, for lack of a better term, with missing people in the wilderness and things like that. Places like Skinwalker Ranch, where scientists have actually studied these places and have seen things that you can't even possibly comprehend. If you saw it in a movie, you'd be like, this is so fake. And these people that are there, either military personnel or people that are studying it scientifically, and these events and this phenomena scientifically are saying, we've seen these things. It makes you question how much we really know about our planet and our Earth and life.
Bigfoot are interdimensional travelers. We're their vacation home.
Could very well be. And that's when I was young. And that's the funny part about this shirt is I thought, I wonder if Bigfoot is a ghost. I wonder if people are seeing a ghost of, people suggest that it's possibly Gigantopithecus, which was a giant bipedal orangutan / great ape that existed 10,000 years ago, as little as 10,000 years ago.
And the thing is, the bulk of the fossils of those, aren't they in China?
Yeah, from what I understand, a traveler. I don't know if it was an American or a Brit or what have you, but they were in some Chinese, I think, medicine shop, and they saw a tooth, and apparently, I forget what they were marketing it as. If it was
Dragon
market
teeth.
dragon teeth, and the guy was like, "That is a gorilla tooth or something." He's like, "That's a great ape tooth," and they basically built the model of Gigantopithecus off of this tooth, and I think maybe a possible partial jawbone. I would have to look, so don't quote me on that. But they did have the tooth, and apparently there was a giant, upwards of 10 feet tall ape 10,000 years ago that could have crossed the land bridge and could have survived.
That's what I was going to bring up was the land bridge. Like,
Yeah.
it makes perfect sense. If they were in China, it makes perfect sense that they could have crossed over here and survived
Yeah.
quite well.
And personally, we'll have to get into this on another episode, but I believe at one time, I believe they called it Pangea. All the continents were connected together. I think we can't get too far into this. We'll have to save this for another show. But I do believe that there was great ancient civilizations. I believe there was a worldwide global cataclysm that wiped everybody out and separated all the continents, and that's why you see structures, creatures like Bigfoot, in all sorts of different areas all over the world, with no possible way, according to our history books, of transportation that would be able to get people from Africa and Egypt into South America. You know,
The Grand Canyon.
the Grand Canyon. There's just, man, I'm so excited about this show, Matt. I can't even.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bigfoot. You know, I think they're intelligent creatures. I think they're flesh and blood, and I believe that as time goes on, I think we will eventually figure it out. I think there will be some proof. Whether it be a body. A lot of people say there's going to be no other proof. You can find as many hair samples and stool samples as you want and say that this is not of any other creature. But until we have a body of a Sasquatch, no, but there's so many people that won't believe it. I'm a believer. I believe that Sasquatch exists. Matt?
Well, I mean, how many different hair samples have they found they did DNA tests on and it didn't match anything?
Something about the mitochondrial DNA was not that of a human.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. I know that if you go online and you Google hair samples, you can see comparisons between human, bear, all the different animals that you could potentially find in the woods, and then a sample of hair that looks nothing like the others. Very, very interesting. So I think the evidence is there. I just think a lot of people don't want to believe. It's far-fetched to them because Bigfoot has been created as this mythological creature. But I think the evidence is there.
I think the main reason people don't want to believe is it would change. Let me think the right way to word this without being offensive. It would change how they viewed their position in the world.
Sure. Absolutely.
Because like right now, people view themselves as the top of everything. The people that don't view themselves as the top of everything are people that deal with large predators all the time. That changes your perspective when you see this animal that is insanely times amount stronger than you are, and it's still not that much heavier, like 200 or 300 pound cat, or let me go even smaller, like 100 pound, 150 pound leopard dragging a gazelle up a tree like it's not even there. You know what I mean? Like, so people that deal with large predators a lot have a completely different outlook on their position in the world than everybody else. So I think that's one reason is you're talking about a 10-foot tall creature, animal that's possibly very intelligent, wandering the woods. And that'd be hard for people to deal with.
Well, I mean, what did we just talk about? 111 million acres of national wilderness preservation. That's government. That's federal land. If Sasquatch was proven to exist, the amount of money made on parks and wildlife is so much. You would have another creature that you would have to acknowledge essentially and go, okay, it's a protected species and this is its habitat. the snowball effect of what that would do, it would affect logging. It would affect,
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's so much to think about. Like, is Sasquatch a government cover up? Because I live in
Well, yeah.
Washington State. We had a volcano called
Yeah.
Mount St. Helens, and there's stories of burnt up Sasquatch getting hauled away by the government. You know what I mean?
No joke. I've never heard that.
Oh, really? Oh, man. Oh, we'll have to get into that in another show, but I've heard
Yeah.
accounts of that. I've heard people saying it's BS because they were in the military and during that time, and they never saw anything like that. But if you look at, I don't know, I imagine it's only a Pacific Northwest thing, but in their like field guide, in the military field guide, it lists Sasquatch as one of the creatures because they do a lot of exercises out here in the woods, and it's been
Oh, yeah.
proven that they acknowledge Sasquatch, and many military people that have done exercises out here in these woods in the Pacific Northwest have seen and heard these creatures. So I believe Bigfoot is
Well,
real.
I'm with you, man. I think Bigfoot's out there. I think it is a real thing. What was I gonna say? No, that's really interesting about the Mount St. Helens. But also
Yeah.
the government tried to cover that up so that it was going to erupt. I mean,
And that's why we're going to talk about conspiracies on this show as well at some point. So much to talk about, and we've barely scratched the surface of Bigfoot.
I feel like we just got like an introduction,
Yeah,
barely
and
covered.
that's going to be the fun part of the show. We've got so much to talk about. We'll have to do an episode on the St. Helens Bigfoot connection and all that fun stuff. And Matt, I know you have more ghost stories that are compelling as all get out, and I can't wait to hear them all again. I've heard most of them. I don't think I've heard them all. Definitely want to hear some more of those. I know that the audience, as it grows, will want to hear more of those. We were planning on keeping the show at a tight hour. Clearly, that has not happened. We are almost at 2 hours. I don't know how you feel, Matt, but I think we did a pretty. This was a great introduction episode to our show.
Oh, fantastic! Great stopping point.
Yeah, I'm just really pumped, just based on, Matt and I are friends from a distance. We've never hung out for long periods of time. I've met him once in real life, based on our mutual
Oh,
love
yeah.
for classic Mopar cars. And to meet somebody else who has the same, beliefs and a willingness to have these types of discussions is a lot of fun for me because I really don't have anybody like that in my life that will sit and listen. You know what I mean? I'm sure my wife loves that I have somebody to talk to about this kind of stuff. So hopefully everybody that has watched tonight live, thank you for watching. Many more where this came from. Matt and I are planning on doing this every Saturday night live on YouTube and Facebook. This is also going to be released as an audio podcast. So, this is episode number 1 of hopefully many to come.
Oh, it's going to be a good time. Kurt was mentioning that they have a lot of sightings in Wisconsin. I believe it. Like, I know we're getting off, but I got to touch on this. I believe it because, you're close to the Canadian border. Did you know that there's more Americans living further north than, 75% of the Canadian population?
Really?
Oh, a lot of them are down in the Greater Toronto area and stuff like that in the Great Lakes. Those are more southern than the most northern states. Most Canadian towns and big cities are within 50 miles of the border.
Wow.
So there's all that up there that we're not even factoring in to being open ground.
Canada, the amount of unclaimed, I shouldn't say unclaimed because government owns quite a the amount of untouched, non-humanized land where a creature like Sasquatch could flourish is plenty. And, I think as we go on and discuss more, if you're still on the fence, if you're watching this show and you're on the fence, like, what are these crazy lunatics talking about? Once you start putting all these pieces together, I find it hard to doubt Sasquatch. I really do. And I think once we get into the government conspiracy aspect and some other of the crazy aspects that you hear about Bigfoot, um, you know, it's quite compelling information. Whether it's real or not remains to be seen, but I find there to be an overwhelming amount of convincing evidence that my final opinion would be that Bigfoot is absolutely real. We just haven't officially discovered him yet, or her, or them.
I just hope David Attenborough's still alive when we do find him, so he can narrate that documentary.
100%. On that note, I think this is a great point to end. Matt, this was a lot of fun, dude. We'll see you next week, right?
Oh man, absolutely.
And we don't have very many people in the chat live tonight. The comments have been pretty slim. I think my wife and my buddy Kurt joined us. Normally, once the show grows and we get more of a live audience, we're going to open the forum up to possibly join us on the show. But we definitely want to hear your stories. We'll read them on the show. We also plan on covering like paranormal happenings in the news and pop culture and things like that as it pertains to the paranormal. So this show won't just be video reviews and won't just be Matt and I going off on various topics.
Also, if you do have a video or pictures, submit that. I want to see them.
100%.
I want to see them.
And you can do that by emailing the content that you have, whether it be a written story or a video or audio, or if you want to tell us why you think you would be a great guest for the show, you can email us at story@talkingparanormal.com. We look forward to reading those and having you guys tell us all your crazy stuff. Before we go, Kurt, that is definitely the Beast of Bray Road is definitely a topic that I want to cover at some point, because that gets into the whole Dogman thing and the folklore behind Dogman and the fact that there may be potentially several different types of bipedal creatures out there that one could fall into the category of Sasquatch. So a subject for another night.
Absolutely.
So with that being said, that was episode 1 of Talking Paranormal. My name is Chris Albrecht. This is Matt Monroe. And thank you for joining us. And we'll see you next week at 7 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Central, and 10 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for joining us.
Have a good night.
And you know what? I think we'll send them off with the video that we found to be most compelling. So this is the video that Matt and I thought was the winner of tonight, and the video that we thought was the most compelling Sasquatch video that we've shared tonight. So we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.